Alright, so today I wanted to make a video about this school or this report out of True North. Um, and it's titled Toronto and Peel School Boards Cancel Winter Report Cards. And this is coming from the heels of more and more public school teachers going on strike. And why it's an important issue is that this kind of stuff comes up all the time, and it's something that I wanted to make another video about because it's pretty crazy in my mind. And the first thing I would point out too is that, as they point out, Ontario high school teachers earn an average of 92,000 a year. Now I don't know if that's straight salary, if that's averaged out, but again, public school teachers get about 3 months off during the year. You get a couple months off in the summer. You got 2 weeks off at Christmas. You got spring break. You got random days off spread out through the year. So I mean, it's something that really bothers me because I this may come across as a little harsh, but I don't hate school teachers. I hate the ideas that they come up with that they're underpaid and their job's so hard because yeah, it's not easy, but it's not that hard. Like, come on, it's not that hard. And the simple reason to point out here, the simple way to point out is that if being a public school teacher is so hard, then why do homeschooled kids do just as good? Why do they do just as good? I thought your job was so hard and you're so valuable to society, but you're not. You're really not. Public school teachers, when you test them, are pretty average when it comes to levels of intelligence, which means they should be earning roughly an average salary, so we're talking 50, 60,000 a year. 92 is way above that. Not only that, public school teachers have some of the best pensions, if not the best pensions, aside from, like, I think military's very good. But again, they're putting in a lot of hours, not spending any time at home for long periods of time. And then you got like government workers, but other than that, you got public school teachers. It's like the pretty much the best pension you can possibly get. Not only that, you retire at a pretty good age. So it really makes no sense. And the simple reason that the public school teachers' strategy when it comes to this kind of stuff is we're going to convince generations of people that what we do is so important to society, even though it isn't. But let's just pretend that it is. And then down the road, because we've brainwashed a generation or two of people into believing that what we do is so important, we can force them to earn, pay us a lot more than we're actually worth. Um, if you actually were to take this and average it out, we're talking like 110, 120,000 a year to be a public school teacher. Like, come on, like, an average person could be a public school teacher. That's equivalent to like how many people could that like there's CEOs of decent sized companies that are making 120, 130,000 a year, and again that's the average too. That means half the people are making more than that. So it's very crazy, and like I said, I wanted to make a video about it because it's crazy. And like I said, their strategy when it comes to this is just lie to people about how important they are to society, and then down the road, once a generation of people has been brainwashed into thinking that they can shove salary raises down our throats because we're so important to society when you're really not. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about in this video. But this whole thing really bothers me because on one hand they claim to care so much about the kids and all this kind of stuff, but in the end you care more about your salary. So it really makes no sense. So um, I do want to talk a little bit more, but it really makes no sense. And this is something that really bothers. You can tell that it's a biased thing because whenever you talk to the leftists, especially the far leftists, if you're a conservative government, you cut one public school job, literally one, they'll be all over you. They will be all over you. But you cut, tens of thousands of private sector jobs, they couldn't care less. And it's for the simple reason that the reason why they want this is that they want the most amount of power and money to accumulate into the hands of left-wing governments or left-wing politicians. And the more money they can make, the more money that's going to happen, end up in their hands. And the other thing I would point out too is that they claim that, the other thing I cannot stand about, especially in Alberta, you hear this all the time from these crazy leftists, is that, oh, well, not enough money is being put into public schools. Not enough money is being put into public schools. The numbers is like over 10,000 people a kid. We're talking a classroom of 30 kids. You're talking $300,000 isn't enough to run a classroom. Are you serious? Like, it's absolutely crazy. And you look at other countries, like take Japan, for example, they don't put nearly as much money into their public schools as we do, but yet their public school system's better. And it just shows the incompetence of the left in that their solution to everything is just pump more money into it, raise taxes. Like it's the fallacy of the left thinks that resources are infinite, that we can always print more money, we can always tax more people. It's the solution to everything, it's an unlimited supply in their mind. And that's why they think conservatives or people on the right are evil. And for all the people saying, oh, they don't think they're, yeah, they do. Most of the people on the left think that people on the right are evil, especially the one when you bring up, cutting funding to this kind of stuff. And the reason why people actually want to cut it is that we don't have the money to put into it. It'd be one thing if we had the money to put into it, but we don't. But when you're on the left, you think that resources are infinite, that you can always just print more money. There's an unlimited supply. We can just keep going and going and going. And because there's an unlimited supply, at least in their mind, the only reason that you would want to withhold that is because you're evil. It's such a simple concept to understand that people want to deny this kind of stuff. They really bother me. But that's the last point I wanted to bring up. But like I said, this kind of stuff comes up all the time, and a lot of people this is a common, kitchen table issue that comes up, at holidays and stuff like that, because there's a lot of teachers out there. Everybody probably knows a teacher, or at least a friend, or someone. Pretty much everyone knows someone that's a teacher. So this kind of stuff comes up, and the last thing I'll point out too is I understand not all teachers are like this. I'm sure there's a lot of good, conservative or moderate teachers that don't believe in this garbage, but on average, it's not even true. So, like I say, when I'm talking about this kind of stuff, I'm always talking about averages. I understand there's exceptions to the rule. So, anyway, I'll leave it there. If you liked the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe and stay tuned for more.